so I can't have the Cataplana.
Okay, you can have the javelli then, and then you can have a bit of cheese, and then
I don't
some
like javelli either. It's
okay, all right. What about some cheese?
Love the cheese.
Okay, right. Cheese.
Queso de Azeitão is my favorite cheese in the world.
Is it the runny one?
Yeah.
And that's the headquarters of Bacalhau, isn't it, as well?
It's beside Bacalhau. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You can pop along there, have that cheese, and see some really authentic villages nearby.
Yeah.
Sporting and Benfica for Bobby. And his, we found out this morning that you have to have a hated company. His hated company is Meio.
For now.
For now, and he may move on. And Azeitão is delish. Let's bring on our friend who we haven't seen for a little while, Savvy Cat Ana, who was nodding quite a lot with when you were speaking earlier on. Here she is.
Hello, everyone.
Savvy Cat Ana, welcome
back.
Nice
to meet you, Bobby.
You too, Anna.
Welcome back to the screens of Good Morning Portugal. Where have you been and how have you been, Anna?
Right now, I'm in Caldas. I just arrived like at 10 p.m. yesterday from Porto.
Right. Okay. Great to see you. And as I said, as it says, I think in the ticker tape below, you're sometimes quite outspoken. Bobby and I have conversations, and as you were hearing there, about the culture, the government. Sometimes they can seem a bit critical, notwithstanding the fact that it's all relative. We're having these problems all over the world, and that relatively speaking, Portugal and the Portuguese lifestyle is so much better than so many other places. Sometimes people accuse us of being critical, negative, and sometimes even entitled. Can you believe it, Bobby? Whereas we love it when you're talking, Anna, because you're Portuguese and you tell it like it is about, certainly when we first started speaking, you were quite critical of the real estate industry. So you stepped into it. If anyone goes to your website, they will see your outspoken views of how awful you thought things were and that you had to do something about it, like a one-woman crusade about Portuguese real estate. How is that going?
Well, it's going quite well because as you know, I had a very ambitious goal when I started, which was to have service in the whole country, but not have the typical commission service. So everyone on my company is under contract, which is a huge deal here in Portugal because labor laws kind of suck for the employer. And it took me a while, but I'm finally at a point where I can say I have the structure that I wanted at the beginning. And it definitely has been a fight to get here. And I learned a lot along the way. And I actually got to be even more disappointed with Portuguese labor laws. So it was a fun ride, so to say. But right now I'm at that point where I wanted to be 2 years ago if I could just, snap my fingers and make it happen. Wow. And I'm very excited for how things will further develop from now.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, and you were nodding while Bobby's talking. I mean, it is difficult for us foreigners to come in and be a little bit critical, but you've been super critical. You mentioned the labour laws there. What was your beef about Portuguese real estate when you got into it?
Portuguese real estate is very under-regulated. So basically, although there is a real estate law, it is very fleece, so to say. So it isn't very defined. And there are quite a few very problematic issues, such as the fact that it's very, very easy to obtain a real estate license. And there is absolutely no regulation on who does or do not obtain a real estate license. And the state doesn't even know how many real estate licenses there is, which is absolutely mind-blowing for most expats, because how does that happen? Well, I tell you how that happens. So basically, companies can get their real estate license and they can share it with their employees. And there's absolutely no control on that. So what happens is most of the companies, and this is, of course, makes a lot of sense from a profit perspective, what they do is that they will put pretty much anyone on their company. They don't have, of course, proper labor contracts. It will be a commission-based work where they get paid only if they sell and so on. And they will take almost anyone that is willing to come in and pretty much throw them to the wolves and see whoever gets by. And that creates a very competitive and not very service or due diligence focused environment where pretty much everyone is fighting against each other. And another very problematic fact is the fact that almost no one gives exclusivity here in Portugal. Like Portuguese people, it's starting to be a bit more common in big cities like Lisbon and so on, but it's something that is slowly changing in smaller locations, and it is still the standard for Portuguese people not to give exclusivity and to be absolutely against exclusivity because they don't trust real estate agencies. And I can absolutely understand that because I'm also a property owner and I've been on both sides of the spectrum before I started being in property business. And truth is, it has happened to me and my family to give exclusivity to a company and for them just to drag their foots for 6 months and nothing gets done. So that means, of course, Portuguese people will not be very comfortable doing that, which leads to the market being very chaotic because no one has exclusivity. Agents don't get paid unless they sell. So they are constantly in a battle to see who gets to sell first. And they don't even know if they will be getting paid. So most of the cases, at some point, most of the agents get frustrated because they put all this work into things and then the sale gets taken from them or the person buys somewhere else or something else happens.
Yeah.
And people get more and more demotivated, and it gives room to less ethical practices and people trying to close the sales faster in detriment of due diligence and proper documentation, and people getting misled in order to close sales faster. So it's a very unhealthy environment. And on top of all of this, this is all legal. So that's a problem.
Yes.
And there is basically no control on the market. Of course, there are some laws, and supposedly you cannot do false advertisement, and you need to put a real photography of the location, and you need to have the energy certification in order to put things for sale. But in truth, let's say there are 20 people making inspections on these things for, like, I don't know, 5,000 agencies.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's not that is not going to work. Regulating it from that end, is it a recourse to the law? The horse has bolted by that stage. Bobby, you were nodding quite a lot there. Is this a picture you recognise?
No, she's 100% right. I actually had to go to college in Ireland. I was we call it an auctioneer. Real estate in Ireland is an auctioneer. I had to go to college and I had to obtain a bond similar to a lawyer would have, and to operate a client's account, etc. I had to go to court every year to basically justify that I had a license and a bond, and it was issued on a yearly basis based on everything being open and transparent, fees wise, everything wise. Also, I had to go to college. In college, I had to go and learn how to do a valuation, how to understand valuation, understand different valuations, how to understand construction, how to understand legal. All the way, and when the legal part of it was more or less how to keep yourself out of trouble without saying yeah, no problem, I'll get you a mortgage there, and then they don't get a mortgage and they lose their deposits and so on. And actually, in Ireland, especially, and in the UK as well, everything is subject to contract, and contract denied without prejudice, which basically protects both parties when it comes to actually negotiation of the property. And there's no transaction taking place until such time that the contracts are signed and monies have been exchanged.
Yeah.
Here, unfortunately, it's become the go-to place for a lot of people that have sort of found themselves in a position that they don't know what else to do, or else they think it's very sexy in the sense that, oh, I'm going to make a lot of money selling properties, and oh, this guy's making 20,000 euro for selling a property, etc. This kind of stuff. And Anna's right in the sense that it's basically flooded the market with people who really don't have enough experience, or let's say I say experience or education in this particular sector. and in the real estate, and it actually has that connotation of like a car sales guy, that kind of thing. As in, and I don't mean that in any disrespect to a car sales guy, but
No.
in the sense that there is no
It's very
qualification
okay.
except that you're a great sales guy, you know, that kind of way.
Yeah.
And she's right in the sense as well that it's a cutthroat business. You have guys going in where you list a property, you advertise the property, and the agencies around, what they do basically is they go into the idealistas and so on, and they see who's selling what, and then they go knock the door and say, I've got a client to buy your house, and they try to take the listing away and this kind of stuff. And it's become that kind of seedy sort of how to say place to be honest with you. I got away from all that a long time ago, and how would you say, like, Anna, I had a full staff all on salaries, and basically had targets to hit and so on as well, because it's still a sales driven thing. You still have to sell. No point giving someone a salary and them just sit there and go on Facebook all day. So you have, but I did believe also in having a salary with regards to taking that pressure off of them, that they didn't need to, if they didn't sell this month, they were still able to put the food on the table and pay the rent.
Yeah.
But that as well can be taken advantage of as well, where you have people that will come in and take a salary, and really, that's fine. I don't need to sell anything. I'm fine. I'm safe this month. And it's really fine that it is a sort of a business where you have a lot of people that come in and go out, because it's not for everybody. This business is not for everybody. And unless you're willing to graft and sort of really work hard at it, it's not for you. It's not a business that you jump in and how would you say,
Make it happen.
there's a lot of these programs on the TV, I think, you know, in America. I know agency have one and so on and so forth, where you have all these sexy looking people, like, and they're driving these fast cars, and they're like, I just want this €1 million listing or this €10 million list, and that kind of, and it's all rubbish, to be honest with you. Like, you know, it's nuts. It's like, you can get a listing, but unless you sell it, you've got nothing, you know. So but I agree with Anna. I agree with her, as in that there's no regulation. The regulation it sucks. Like, you get an AMI license and everyone can work under the AMI license that you hire and so on and so forth. And there's no confidence. And that's why when people come to Portugal, and okay, they'll deal with whoever they're after meeting online and so on and so forth. And again, they'll like that person. The first job in real estate is to get the person to like you that you're talking to. And then hopefully you're able to find them the property that they like. But a lot of the time, people, when they come, they're sort of shepherded around into what they have to sell. And the open market sort of situation where people actually come and talk to different agents, it's a nightmare, because every other agent that's not selling the property you're selling will burn what you showed them, you know, this kind of way. So it makes it it's a very difficult place to work in if you're in that sort of open market type thing. So what we had done was we specialized in a certain type of property and for a certain type of market, and we focused on that, because it's just not a nice place to be in that other environment, to be honest.
Well, thank you both for your insight there. And I've heard it expressed as, Portugal has 10 million real estate agents. Like, everyone is selling a house, aren't they, here? Even the kids.
Almost.
So great work, Anna, with what you're doing, and a very interesting sort of refocusing and reframing of what you're doing there, Bobby. This one-woman crusade, as I refer to you, Savvy Cat Ana, and this 2-year struggle to do this. I mean, give us an idea of how it's going. How is the industry itself responding to you and your sort of maverick, revolutionary ways?
Well, I kind of did what Bobby was just talking about. Like, I made a very clear definition what I wanted to do and what my market is, and that's what I'm working on. And what I'm working on doesn't necessarily go against what other agencies are doing. On the contrary, it can be very beneficial for them. So basically, I specialize as buying agency and investment support. And I work mostly with people that are not in Portugal yet, or are recently in Portugal and are still in the stage where they are kind of choosing where they want to go. And we provide support with all of that. So a big part of the differentiation of the Savvy Cat service is exactly the fact that we are pretty much location independent. and people come to us with a lifestyle and tell us, okay, that's the life I want to have, and we will find where they can do that for them and show them those locations and give them support all over the way. And as I only work with locals, which is something that I sometimes get criticized for, sometimes I get uh, positively seen for. It depends on the person, but for me, it's very important to work with locals, because the point is that the person that is giving support knows exactly what they are doing. Like, they are locals, they've been here all their life, they know these locations, they know how they've developed, they know how the daily life is, and they know where the schools are, where the services are, and where everything is. So it makes all the transaction a lot smoother, because we don't just do the real estate service. It's pretty much about helping people settle in Portugal and feel integrated from the start.
Great. And you say you're building a relationship with the client and you're helping that client build a relationship with Portugal. That makes a lot of sense. And it looks like you've got a happy customer here. Savvy helped me find an apartment in Montijo. Thanks. Montijo, look at this. Both of you are fans of south of the river there, by the sound of it. So you've been revolutionizing the practices. You stuck your neck out, Anna, because you could have stayed in that ecosystem that you're critical of. And the temptation to do so must be quite strong. Oh, no, okay, you couldn't with your personal ethics. So 2 years of development and building your company. And then we get into this political situation, Mais Habitation, the housing crisis. How has that been for you?
Well, I think in general things are a bit quieter now. I've been hearing from most of the people in the industry that, especially the overseas customers, that is who I mostly work with, are a bit scared because of the new measures and because of the way that the government handled the whole golden visa situation, which was terrible, very terrible. And I think people, now that a decision is more or less final, although not fully final yet, people are starting to get more comfortable and come back. But I would say that business was very slow for the past 2 months. And for someone that has people on salaries, that is very scary.
Yeah, right. And you do, don't you? So yeah, so a bit of a disaster from that point of view, and a kind of reiteration of one of the themes Bobby and I have been talking about, or Bobby mainly, over the last couple of months, is this knock of confidence in inward investment. Is that changing again now? Are you seeing it ease a little bit?
I think the confidence that was broken, it's not going to be easily reinstated. Like, confidence is built, and trust is built over a long period of time, and it is much easier to break than to rebuild. So
Yeah, right.
it's going to take a while, but I do think that the markets that's going to be the most affected are going to be bigger investment style of things. So those people that come here to do pure investment and buy slots of land to build, or buy big buildings to renovate and that kind of thing, those are the people that are going to feel this the most and are feeling this the most, because it was a huge break of trust from an investor's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
But for the personal investment for leaving market, it doesn't affect it as much. And I think most people were just seeing where these go to see if the prices would come down. So personally, I don't believe that the market will be very affected on the long term. Things may be a bit slower for a period of time, but I don't think that there is going to be a major crash. However, the investment side of things is going to slow down a bit, because there was a great break of trust. And I've heard on a lot of places of people, investors pulling out of deals because of this situation. And honestly, I don't know if those deals are going to go back through.
Well, it's a matter of public record, isn't it? Certainly in the industry, Bobby, that is exactly what's happened, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I said it's all about confidence. Everything in the market is all about confidence. But even where there's a lack of confidence for investors and so on, you will have the vulture funds that will come in and basically wait for a crash or wait for a banking crisis. And right now you have a couple of things happening globally. You have rate hikes. Again, you had another 0.25% yesterday in the ECB. You had another rate in the Fed as well. Inflation is still not under control. You had another bank fail in the US. And these are these are things that we went through not too long ago. And I won't say we're heading for a crash, but I think what's going to happen is we're heading for an area where some people will find it a lot more difficult than others. And not just the vulture funds, but the investors will actually come in and pick up where property values have dropped and take advantage of the situation. So it's leaving the political situation with the confidence right now is leaving the general Portuguese population, I would say, under threat of, how would you say, making it very difficult for them. And then where the international guys will see the wait for the property prices to fall, and they'll pick up the bargains. And I think
that's the worst case scenario, isn't it? That's just horrible for everybody, except for those.
That's to be honest with you, where it is at the minute, and that's where it's sort of leveling out in the sense that it's becoming an exciting place for investors to look at from a different point of view, not from a growth point of view, but from a value point of view. And if interest rates continue to rise, which they will for the next, I would say, next year, you can look at probably an extra, at least another 0.5 going on, because they have to get inflation under control in Europe. Actually, we're sort of a little bit isolated here in the Iberian Peninsula, especially with the cost of energy. We're talking about the cost of energy earlier on. We had nothing like the hikes that they had in Europe, but we are part of Europe, and that's why we're taking a hit with the interest rates hike and the inflationary controls, if you like. But has a knock-on effect when it comes to paying your mortgage. And how would you say, where the Portuguese themselves are going to be left open, and it'll be a fragile place to be, I'd say, even next year, with regards to, well, let's not hope that houses don't go back to into the stage where people have to sell because they can't pay the mortgage. And that's why I think this government is very, very dangerous. And I think that's why the decisions that they've been making, they think they're trying to help people with this, setting the rents and massive habitation and all that kind of stuff. It's making it very, very dangerous for the people, and not that far away. So I think that's why anyone who really cares about Portugal in the future, they need this government out. That's the truth.
Okay, there you go.
Personally, I don't even think they are trying to help people. They are just doing a political move. I think they are very aware of the consequences of the what they are doing, but their stand is pretty much to be on the people's side and make use of the fact that most of the population doesn't really understand the problem, so they think they are being helped, and that makes them vote for them, when in truth they are not being helped.
Yeah, right. For all the reasons that have been given. Sorry, go on, Bobby.
Portugal just hit the iceberg, and they're running around telling everyone, calm down, it's fine, go back to bed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's exactly what they are, you know.
The band's playing on, isn't it? Yeah, the band's playing on. Okay, so, well, let's finish this morning. We've got James Blick coming up from Spain Revealed. Looking forward to having a chat with James and especially his food and cultural tours over there in Spain. Bobby and I need to do that as well at some point. Maybe go and have lunch with him. And you can join us as well, Anna. Can you briefly give us an idea of how the service specifically works? You've helped David, who's here this morning. What do the packages look like that you do?
We have 3 rental packages and 3 buying packages. So on the rental packages, we have 3 levels of service. We have just the basic support, which we will scout the market for you and see listings, contact them, book a visiting, and so on. But we don't do the actual visit. That package also includes the legal revision of the contract and closing. Then we have the next package, that is the premium package, that includes all of the above plus the visitations. and the agents will go to the property and check everything for problems and so on. And we are very transparent. So if we find problems, we will tell you, and we will tell you if we think that the property is worth it or not. And of course, the final decision is also always from the client, whether or not we agree with it. And then we have the platinum package that includes all of the above, plus support in all the documentation and bank accounts. So getting a NIF number, getting the documentation for the visa process reviewed, getting the bank account open. And it also includes more in-person support with the agents, and you get to we also have an anywhere option that will, for the rental package, we have area specific and then anywhere. And the anywhere allows you to go anywhere and even meet with the agents in different locations and look for rentals in different locations. And then the buying packages include all of what the rental packages include, plus local tours. We have 3 variations. So we have the decided that it's focused on one area. By one area, I mean, for example, the Great Lisbon or the Great Porto or the North area or the Algarve, that kind of thing. And then we have the Wanderer, that is for our main service. That is what I was mentioning before, for people that have a lifestyle but are not sure where. And we allow them to explore the whole country. Our service also includes all the legal verification, technical inspection by an engineer, and we also support in getting budgets and review on if renovations or works are needed. And the service also includes to check on the evolution of those works. And then the investment service includes all of the above, plus project support for licensing and more complex situations.
Wonderful. So there you are, continuing to revolutionize the industry. Presumably your hopes for in another 2 years' time is we'll have a different government who aren't just showboating and are truly supportive of the situation. Your lawyer apparently identified one apartment I wanted was not registered with the finances, and that's going to be a problem. So well done, Savvy Cat's lawyer there. Great to talk to you both this morning. Bobby was only meant to be here from 9 to 9:30. Don't go yet, though, because we've got dad jokes for the weekend, Bobby. But we've had a great conversation, and thank you for being here. I hope we haven't held you up too much. Andy Bairandi has been sending in wonderful events all over the Bairrada region, which you can look and have a tribute band. And you can see all of these over on the Gumper map at goodmorningportugal.com. And if you're trying to save money at the moment, we were talking about saving money on energy. There is a copy of Barão called Barão, which is a fraction of the price, apparently, which you can get in central Portugal. Love that. That's a very interesting drinks cabinet you've got there. What is that behind it? Is that the aguardente that was brewed by the neighbour? What do you think, Bobby? Okay.
Never heard of it.
Around man through and through. Okay, those dad jokes. Do you like dad jokes, Savvy Cat Ana?
Do I like?
You like a dad joke? I think we're about to find out.
I don't mind them.
Let's see how this goes then. Thank you, T-Duck, for these. And we've got James Blick coming up in just a moment. If you sneer at other methods of measuring liquids, you might be held in contempt of court. Ouch. What do you call a line of men waiting to get haircuts? A barbecue. Oh, dear. Quite the eyes at skyward grimace there. And I've lost the third one. That's a poor show, isn't it? Let me see if I can just quickly retrieve the last, unless you've got one or two yourselves there, Anna. Oh, here we go. I made my morning coffee. You could put Barão instead of Red Bull, but this is what T-Duck did. Made a morning coffee with Red Bull instead of water. I was on the highway for 15 minutes before realizing I left the car at home. Very good. All right, so unruffled there. Savvy Cat Ana, great to see you back on our screen. Anna, wonderful what you're doing to the Portuguese real estate industry. I'm sure you'd agree, Bobby.
Yeah, honestly, got a good service, great service.
And good to see you too, Bobby. All the best with Herdade Meio, where you're having to slow the sales down. That's fantastic. A bon fin de semana to you both.
Take care, buddy.
Well, I don't mind staying and chatting about food.
All right, bye for now. Ciao, ciao. Right, there they go. That's Bobby O'Reilly and Savvy Cat Ana. And we will be talking to James Blick in just a moment on the Iberian FM phone-in. So let's roll that theme tune, shall we, and get into some Iberian. Let's check on our Iberian status this morning after this.